All right, so today's video, I'm gonna go through Sean at Only Plants' recent Bangkok video and give you a price reference relative to the US and give you a bit of like a buy, hold, sell metric, whether or not I would buy these plants in Asia because they're such a great deal. Hint, there's like some $5 fried X in here. And then there's also some like $30,000 plants that I think something odd is going on in Asia in terms of the buy and sell market. And we'll talk about that and I'll give you my full analysis at the end.
This is the Orange Princess Galaxy. Look how stunning it is, and that one new leaf, that is just so beautiful.
Okay, this was one of the first ones that just bothers me because I just bought Orange Princess. I made a video a few weeks back and I essentially said plant flipping is dead. And a lot of people were like, right, I agree. And a lot of other people were like, this is BS, you're totally wrong. And I think both answers are correct. You need to be really careful in what you're buying from Asia and importing and what you can just get domestically for cheaper. For instance, Philodendron Orange Princess, I think is a stunning plant. So after that video was made that I made plant flipping was over, I was kind of convinced by some people and I went out and bought. I paid $140 per plant and I was only able to sell that plant for $109, I believe, or $115 with shipping included that I paid. So I took a bath on that plant, for instance, and these big ones Sean's showing us are being sold for $217 for like a 6-inch pot. So I'm not buying this plant in Asia.
Oh yeah, and it's got some sectorals as well.
I agree. It's a really beautiful plant. I think that's why it pisses me off because I think it is worth the while for someone who really loves plants and thinks they're stunning, but there just isn't that buyer demand domestically here in the US to buy from Asia, bring in, acclimate, pay for the DHL or Dragon Courier. It's just not worth it anymore for a plant like this.
And this one has like really beautiful, almost pink finish to it. I guess the leaf hasn't hardened off.
Okay, a pink Raven ZZ is absolutely stunning. And for $623, I feel like it would be kind of around that for retail sale around here in the US. Maybe like $800 to $1,200 if you're lucky on Monstera X or like a bidding site you could get this plant for. But again, this is kind of one of my hold options. I would probably buy this, put it on a credit card, just because I'm really a collector and love these beautiful plants. But the variegation does look a little unstable, but you can propagate these out. It takes about a year. You know, that's one kind of on the cusp plants of do you import? I don't know. I'm kind of at the hold level on this plant.
Of course, this Rhaphidophora, this is a Hoberola, but this is the Tetrasperma variegated. And this one here, Laniata variegated. They look kind of like the Adamsonia, but
here's your great deal. Here's your deal of the day. Monstera Laniata Variegata $13.50. And also there's a Rhaphidophora Tetrasperma above that Sean shows. These are great deals. So what you're going to see is the really cheap plants that we've had around, the variegated versions of plants we've had around for a while, are going to go for really cheap right now in Asia. So if they're like under $50, you could probably get them in Asia for cheaper. But again, you need to buy 20, 30, 100 units to get that price break. And then you do have to acclimate them. So like a Laniata might sell, or Adansonii might sell for like $70 to $100. So that margin is essentially just being pinched down for us sellers to buy out in Asia, bring back, acclimate, and then resell domestically. It's just the way it's going and the way the market is right now. But these are definitely some wins where you could make some money.
This is the full mint. Actually, the price is really good. Only 7,000 baht. They used to...
Okay, this full mint is a great deal. Well, actually, just a reminder, today's video is brought to you by Leaflux, our liquid fertilizer that's great for soil, aroid mix, leca, pond, just about everything. And it's growing all of our plants and a lot of other people's plants as fast as possible. It's pH balanced and it includes CalMag, so you don't have to add it back in.
Okay, now check
I
them.
use it with tap water and it pH balances perfectly for aroid mix.
You did it!
Straight in the tap water. It's on Amazon or you can get it on our website. I don't know, it's kind of like parity to the US. A full mint that size maybe would be like $300 here in the US. But again, when you import that plant, they have to strip the roots of all the soil, hose it down, which is really rough on these mints without much chlorophyll. So you could probably sell this plant for like $350 if you're lucky out in the US, and you're paying $189, and then you have to ship it here. So I'm kind of on that orange hold level on this plant. I don't know if I'm buying that and bringing it back.
Another Philodendron gloriosa. This is also very beautiful.
Philodendron gloriosum variegata also becoming more popular. These are being produced in China in tissue culture bags, and they're pretty expensive all around. And I'd say around like $250 to $500 for this bigger size. Maybe you could retail in the US for $500-600 max. But again, like the amount of buyers in the 500 to 1,000 mark, or 500 and above mark, is just shrinking and shrinking. I think we're all kind of feeling the struggle in the economy and in the world. At least I am. Let me know down in the comments if you guys are feeling that too. It's hard to hit the grocery store. It's hard to hit the gas station. Shit is just expensive. It's expensive to live right now.
My gosh, look at the variegation on this. This is so intense.
There you go. Legacy High Ver Thai Constellation. I sold a creme brulee in Long Beach a year ago for $300. So this is $400. It's the same price levels.
And you will see a lot of these philodendron hybrids throughout the show because they look nothing like the species. They look a little bit, I don't know if the word off is the right word for it. They look a little bit different from what we're used to. So there's going to be a lot of these. And I'm not going to be able to tell you what each of them are. This one, for example, is...
I think this is a great point about the philodendron hybrids. They are not my cup of tea because we've seen the Florida Beauty over and over and over, and we've seen the price of that crash. And I think it's interesting. Sean is like, I'm not going to be able to tell you what they are. Yeah, because they all look the same. No shade to the new philo hybrids coming out, but they all kind of have the same variegation. They have that kind of weird wonky leaf shape of the Mayo-y Florida Beauty. Are people going to pay thousands and thousands for them? No, I think they'll pay $300 to $500 maybe. A few people left will, but I'm probably not going to go to Asia and buy these.
This is Pink Princess Tricolor. Oh my god, this is actually on my wish list.
And even that Pink Princess hybrid, it just doesn't look that special to me. And finding like a little sport like that, they just don't sell for as much as they used to. That's my take. Let me know if you disagree down in the comments. But maybe $400 or $500 for that, if you're lucky to sell that plant right now.
Beautiful variegation. Look at that, and that one too. And just so you know, this one here is 25,000 baht.
So there's a little bit of arbitrage you could get for a big gloriosum. Again, pretty dangerous to import that. But if you outlay that $670 plus maybe $100, $150 in shipping, you're in like $800, and then what, you sell it for $12 if you're lucky, or around there. It becomes risky.
Some Alocasia bambino aurea, yellow variegated. Let me show you one of the leaves up close. This is around 2,000 baht.
So $55 for a bambino aurea, and these ship so poorly, you could maybe retail it for like $100, $150 if you're lucky, and that might even be pushing it for a bambino. I've seen these go in like 4-inch pots for like $80. Again, I'm not buying this.
Oh my god, the fry deck. Only 200 baht. Oh my gosh, I really want it. I really want this. 200 baht for these tiny...
Okay, here's your deal of the day. $5 for a variegated fry deck. Now, I think you can get these somewhere here in the US for like $50 to $70, somewhere in there. They ship crap, so you'll have to like prop out the new leaves or prop out roots and grow new leaves to sell them. But I guess there's an arbitrage that you could ship in a bunch, maybe 100 or 1,000 units, and then regrow them and resell them for maybe $50 each to be competitive. Deal of the day, I would buy that if I were into fried eggs, but it's kind of a pain in the ass plant.
Here we have a Thai variegated, 3,000 baht. Tiny baby Thais.
I think this is around like a similar parity of like the $82 in Asia. Maybe these would retail for like $120, $150. Maybe 180, depends, but you're really taking a gamble with that variegation. It can be quite unstable, so just be careful with that. But there might be a little arbitrage there. I'd probably hold off on buying those, to be honest. It's not a crazy deal.
Now, do you remember when the Raphidophora tetrasperma variegated were like, I don't know, thousands of dollars? They're now 600 baht each.
Crazy deal. These plants grow really fast, easy to propagate, can be unstable with the variegation, but pretty solid. And for $16, you know, bring them in, prop them out, sell them for probably $60, $70 or so. I don't know. I saw Strawberry Shake going for $40 yesterday. in a LA Facebook group. So I don't know anymore. You could probably arbitrage this one up like 2-3x, but I'd probably buy this for that price. Just keep in mind, everything a few years ago used to be cheaper in Asia. Everything. That's why you saw the title of this video, and I spoke with Sean and Mike and a few other people who sell plants just to kind of get their read on the situation. I'll share that with you guys later.
And I have a really good time growing it. So it's nice to see all these other varieties come up, and my imagination.
Okay, this is just super interesting because 800 baht, which a lot of the Bambinos were priced at, it's like $27, and I think I paid like $30 or 20 to 30 bucks for bagged alocasia Bambino here in the US from Harry Plant Zaddy Therapy. Again, a plant that I'm not buying because it's just too close to the price in the US. It's not worth the risk of importing, losing plants in the mail through the heat.
100,000 for that one. That one really caught my eye.
Okay, this is pretty high. 2,700 for a Cupria alocasia. I don't know the price offhand. I feel like they were around like 3,000 to 4,000, but I want to say some good deals were going around for like the mid 2000s. I found the alocasias were kind of similar from the US and to the Asia prices, which is interesting because a lot of them come out of Asia and a lot are being tissue cultured and so many corms grow. So I don't know. I'm not buying that Cupria. That's pretty high. And we'll see ones that are even more expensive.
The Cupria variegata, this is like in my wish list. It's sold too, my gosh. And of course you have your variegated anthuriums.
Sean was mentioning that the variegated anthuriums kind of have been oversupplied into the market and people weren't buying them up as much. That might be because, like he was saying about the philodendron hybrids, they look kind of indistinguishable to each other. They all get a similar like blister, aurea, like pinkish, orangish variegation on them. And they just start to look alike at a certain point. And I'm not sure if buyers want to have that, where a plant looks so much like another one.
It says white tricolor, white princess.
Okay, this is insane. This is a sport white princess tricolor. It has just some kind of off leaves for $407. I'm not buying this. I think the person who sells this wins. It has some interesting coloring, but it just kind of looks like a Congo, something we've seen a lot of in the past and is just not selling much here in the US.
So this is the Monstera electrolyte Thai constellation, and only the top 3 cutting is 300,000 baht.
Wow. So the top 3 leaves, a cutting of it is $8,000. This is a thing that I just think they're on their own with. It's beautiful, yes, but it's like a lime green Taikon that ends up fading to like a normal yellowish Taikon. I think there's something odd going on in the Asian plant market, and they're kind of like bidding each other up. It's like seller to seller almost.
So this is the Monstera Vietronsa. This is from the Deliciosa. So the seller here told me they were discovered in Vietnam, and they actually ran this through X-ray to, maybe, I don't know, hundreds, thousands, or millions of them, just to find one that's...
Okay, this is a really beautiful plant. As Sean was saying, it looks like this plant was induced to variegate. So they do radiation-based induction of variegation, and that's kind of what it looks like from the variegation patterns. It's very pretty. But as his price flashed on the screen, that's a $27,000 plant. And I just don't think that a lot of US consumers are going to be buying that plant at that price.
The Alocasia chantereri variegated, valued at north of 9,500.
Okay, this is insane. This is a $9,500 Alocasia. Alocasia chanteri, I'm not even going to say it. Really pretty, but is it worth $9,000 to maybe another seller that wants to make some money and sell it to another seller? But I'm hard pressed to see where the consumer comes in here.
This is Growth Revolution, a tissue culture business. I absolutely love the display here. They look like cheap earrings or collectible toys in these like cheap plastic wrappers, but I assure you, these are baby rare plants. So the image of the plant is shown smack in the middle of the packaging. There's variegated alocasia for $21, and there's the OG tissue culture plant, the Thai constellation, that is just $5.50 US.
Okay, these are really expensive prices. I've dealt with Growth Revolution in the past in like 2020, but I stopped buying from them because their prices were so expensive. Even a Tycon for $5.50, sometimes Tycons retail at the 4-inch pot size for like $20, $15, $20, $25. And same with the Bambino. I'm buying those domestically, like on Facebook groups, Palm Street, websites for $20 at times. So I just don't know why you would go abroad to buy these instead of buying them domestically.
Here in nearly every show, there are tissue culture lab. This is Philadelphia caramel marble, 3,500 baht.
That's a crazy price for a caramel marble, and it's so unstable to grow these out. I'm pretty sure that's the price. I'll look it up, but I'm pretty sure that's like the domestic price you could find on Google Shopping for tissue culture caramel marble. I want to even say maybe like $80 I've seen it for.
Billy toys, baby tier.
Same with the Billies, $95. I mean, Sean previously showed acclimated Billies for in the 80s, so buying one in a jar for $95 just doesn't make economic sense. If you're a collector and you want to grow it out yourself, go for it. But as a business...
Very nice to look at. Burl Marks Flame, 900 baht.
Okay, here's a great deal. Burley Marks Flame, $25 US, acclimated in a 3-inch pot. You can make a bit of money on that to like about $100 retail price on that plant. So I'm buying that. That's a good deal. But also just remember that these margins only exist for a little bit of time before everyone jumps on board and then squishes that margin down and it goes away.
Definitely, I think one of the superstars of the event. This one has really the signature rib cage looking leaf. Stand on to film this process, 3 pots of Monstera Devils, and I want to especially thank Kyle from Tropical Plants of South America who found a crate for me to stand on to film this process. Now, auctions like this is important for the plant market as they generate a lot of buzz and interest. Each of these 3 Devil Monsteras ended up selling just north of 1.1 million Thai baht, which is around $30,000 US. Despite many men making a bid, the winners were all ladies, 2 from the Philippines and 1 from Thailand.
Okay, that is fascinating to me. Each plant sold for $31,000, so 3 plants for over 90 grand. And 2 of the buyers were based in the Philippines and 1 was based in Thailand. So a lot of this, again, is going on between seller to seller. Mike points this out in this video, as does Sean. There's a bit of like this just selling to sellers back and forth without the consumers entering the chat and like really making a bid. So I think it's just a whole lot of greed. I think these good sellers have made a bunch of money in the last few years, and they're just chasing after the next plant that can get them rich, frankly. And I don't blame them for that. It's just human nature.
Interesting monster here. It's my first time seeing this, the Bulbasaur, found in China.
Yeah.
Interesting variegation. Do you know how much this is? 600,000.
Quite a pretty plant, weird looking, but $16,000, the Bulbasaur, and it's out of China. So this is an important fact. I think China is starting to enter the place of the rare plant sell and rare plant buy side, and they're going to really change the dynamics of what's going on in the market. Sean had some really great insights after the show. I asked him about this video, and he mentioned that China is vast and 100% cut out from our social media, and they are big players of tissue culture where they're finding a lot of these mutations. I have a bunch of Chinese suppliers of TC always hitting me up trying to sell me them, and the prices aren't that great, to be honest. And I think his overall analysis is really good there, which is collectors and businesses who played their cards right and have profited a lot of money over the years and can afford to are buying up these plants. So I don't want to say, but it's kind of like a circle of sellers selling to sellers, and people are desperate for new products and looking for that next like $1 million plant. I went to clarify what Mike's comments were also about this video, and he said essentially these higher prices were specifically for a few variegated Monstera and new philodendron hybrids. Alocasia was pretty stable to lower depending on the type, and Anthurium prices were stable, but demand seemed down a bit, which that's really interesting. I think the key here is that sometimes as a plant seller, a lot of us got into it because we love plants, we're collectors. So you go into these auctions and these sales event where you can buy the day before the general public, and you just buy emotionally. And a lot of us in a lot of Thailand are unfortunately putting this on a credit card, honestly, because it's an emotional purchase. But I do think that we're way overinflated, and a lot of these plants you can just get cheaper domestically. So thank you guys so much for watching this week's video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope it brought you some value. If it did, click the like button down below and consider subscribing, since we make a new video about plants every week. Thank you for watching and have a great day.